Are you a mom with small kids, family with small kids? I'm talking less than 7 years old, and you personally, or a lot of people in your house, are not getting enough sleep. If that sounds like you, this is the right episode for you. We are going to talk about all things sleep. And as those of you that know, this is my channel. I'm Leslie Urbis. I'm a registered dietitian and personal trainer. But as you know, I love to call myself a selfless overachiever in recovery who is helping women wholly embrace themselves through what I call the Digestion Codes. And today on this episode, I have with me Amanda. Amanda, how's it going today?
Really well, thank you.
Awesome. So we were chatting a little bit before this, talking about all things sleep. And I'd like to just hear at first, a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Hey, so my name is Amanda. I've got a little boy who is 7 years old, Jack. He is my one and only. And I am a baby and child sleep specialist. And the reason I became one of those is because of Jack 7 years ago when he didn't sleep.
I totally get it. I totally
Yeah.
get it. What I didn't tell you before this is that I considered it. So I have two kids. My kids are two. I'm sorry, 2 and 4. They were 2 and 4. They are 4 and 6. And my 6-year-old never had any issues. Right at like 12 weeks when I had to go back to work, when I worked full time, she started sleeping through the night, like 12 hours. It was amazing. I loved every second of it. But my son didn't. He pretty much woke up every 2 hours until we were 18 months. I considered sleep training, but I got these like little pieces inside of me that I didn't know that it was right for me. Maybe it was the people I talked to. But let's say I'm a mom, right? I'm not getting enough sleep. I have a child 7 years of age or younger. What's your first advice to me? Like I'm coming to you like I just need to get sleep. I need my kid to sleep. What do you say to that person?
Okay, so that's already the first question answered. Why now? Like, I need sleep. And sleep for me is like the foundation of life. We all need sleep in order to function as we should do. Um, and I would say that sleep training gets a bad rap because there's so many things out there. When people say, especially here in the UK, if you said sleep training out loud, people would automatically go to the cry it out method. And they're like, no,
Hmm.
I can't hear my baby cry, understandably so, but that's just what I mean. It's not really a method. You just close the door and leave them to cry. It's not, I would consider, a method. So I would say, look, okay, fine, you want to get sleep, brilliant, sleep is wonderful. Let's look at the different ways we can do that, because there are many things out there that we can do that doesn't break bonds with babies and parents, because that's the thing that parents are most worried about. Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
is my bond going to be broken? Is my baby going to cry? Are they going to think they're being abandoned? And all of that. And I'm like, no, okay, it doesn't have to be that. I would say let's look at routine. Routine is important. Human beings, we are creatures of habit. We like to do the same things all the time. You go to the grocery store and you go your little route around it, and God forbid they change it around. We have a bit of a meltdown. We like predictability. We like to know what's going to happen. Same for babies and children. They like to know what's going to happen. And when we set up steps for them at night time, they can go to sleep happily. Okay. So they know what's going to happen. I would say let's look at props. Props, the dummy pacifier, if you guys call it in America, being fed to sleep, being rocked to sleep, because we know that these things can affect night waking. So let's look at what's going on. Let's look at the level of tiredness. An overtired child is never going to sleep well. They've got that adrenaline pumping through them. Let's make sure that they are, and likewise, an undertired baby or child, if they've had too much sleep in the day, they're going to be up playing during the night thinking, okay, well, I'm not tired, so let's go. So let's assess the amount of sleep they're having during the day as well. Really, really important. Let's see how they're going to sleep and see if we can tweak some things, because we know that a child that can self-settle can sleep through the night peacefully. But in order to do that, we can go really gently. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. But let's look at us as parents as well, because when my son was a baby and my husband had gone back to work and I was home alone, my anxiety levels on the lead up to bedtime, worrying about how long is it going to take me to get into sleep? How many times is he going to be up in the night? My anxiety levels were up here. right at the top. And because our babies are magical and they feel everything from us, he could feel that from me. And if he's thinking, oh mum, I can feel you're not feeling quite right about something, I'm not going to feel quite right about it. And because I'm a baby, I'm just going to cry more. So the kind of our energy and how we're feeling and dealing with things is really, really important as well.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely, I think back to the conversation I had, oh, so many years ago. I mean, my son wasn't even one yet. I think I spoke to her in like January of 2021, it would have been. And I didn't get nearly as much of the piece as I think you're providing, because it felt very much like I'm going to get a method and this is going to be the method, and then I have to deal with how it is. It wasn't anything like that. And my motherly instinct was like, absolutely not. Like, this is not right. This is not right. And I can truly look back and know that a lot of it was because when my son was 2 weeks old, my husband was in the military. So he was gone for the next 8 weeks. It was just me and two kids. I had a 2-year-old and I had a 2 week old. And it was like literally 2 years and 2 weeks apart. So literally like a little over two. I mean, I guess she was 2 and a month, I guess, if you really want to give it to her. And I had a 2 week old, right? And so I'm sure the anxiety was there, but it was also just like, how am I supposed to handle like not napping, because I also have to like still take her, and like she doesn't sleep as often, and it was really interesting. But I'm sure that was a little bit of it. I also do truly believe my son grunted a lot, but because I was a parent with two kids and my husband was gone for the majority of his first year, I think I was easily aroused. So just with every single moment I heard him cry, I was like, oh my God, what's wrong? Oh my God, what's wrong? And my motherly instinct was just like, go scoop him up, make sure everything's okay. And then it was like, oh, well, now I've woken him up or whatever. I got to feed him and get him back to bed. And I really do think that some of that was there. And now my son sleeps like a champ for sure. At 4 years old, I have zero issues, occasional wake ups, but nothing to sing about. But I'm curious, when you spoke about it, like, it doesn't have to break bonds. For the mother who's out there like very concerned that I want to get sleep, but I also want to do this in the best way. What's your advice for her? What do you have to tell her?
Well, the first thing I would say is, what is your bond like at the moment? Because I know for me, when I was severely sleep deprived, our bond was barely existent because I was so tired during the day. I wasn't present. I didn't have the energy to get down on the floor and play with him. Didn't have the energy to be able to leave the house because my cognition wasn't working right. I couldn't even pack a changing bag in order to leave the house. And I was a little bit vacant. I wasn't as I wanted, as I thought I would be becoming a mum. And so I don't feel like me and my son kind of bonded the way I thought we would. And then after sleep training, oh my gosh, I felt like it saved my life. I was such a different person. I had the energy, I had the patience, and it just felt like it should do. So first of all, look and see what your bond is like at the moment, because we're worried about breaking bonds, but actually when we're a shell of a person than we normally are, what kind of bond are we having with our child in the first place? Number two, okay, let's look at the different methods we can use. One of them I use, you're in the room with them, you're touching them, you're talking to them, you are physically there. They can smell you, they can hear you, they can feel you, they know you are there. Also, babies have no concept of time. They literally don't know how to count. They don't know how much time has passed. So often it's our feelings that can get in the way because society tells us you're a mother now. Say goodbye to sleep. You have to do everything for everyone. You get no time for yourself, and that's the way it should be. When in actual fact, we need to be, or we want to be, the best versions of ourselves so we can be the best mother that we can be. That's the way I look at it. Listen, if I'm well rested and I've got everything together, I'm on fire as a mother. I can provide everything for my son. So I think society plays a really big part of it, of us feeling guilty because we think, oh, but we want sleep for ourselves. Yes, it's for ourselves, but it's also for our child, because if our child is waking up every hour, every 2 hours for 30 minutes plus, they're not getting the consolidation of sleep they need to develop as they should do as well. So I feel like society is very focused on the bond and what our job is as a mother, which I get, but actually we should be more focused on the well-being of our child, the well-being of us, so our child can develop and we can parent the way we want to parent. So people want to be gentle parents. You've got to have so much patience for that, and you're not going to have that patience when you've been up, if you're running on an hour sleep or broken sleep.
Totally. I completely agree with that thought process of, I can see when I wasn't getting enough sleep versus when I do. And even now, today, like, so there are days, I mean, my kids can understand, mom did not get enough sleep. She needs to preface you with that today. I did not get enough sleep. So mom will be taking a nap, right? It's an acceptable thing, but I just need you to know that. And sometimes that's how I preface it. And when the first fight happens, I go, okay, mom still didn't get enough sleep. Okay. So I'm going to do my best here to parent you today. Right. But I think what you're getting at, truthfully, is something that I learned from a psychologist that's called internal emotional labor, which is where the mother is constantly battling. Like, I know I need sleep. I know I need to nourish myself. I know I need the well-being. So does my child. But I hear this thing over here about bonds. And then what about this thing that I follow from Gabor Mate about all these things that keep happening? And what about this thing over here? And Instagram, love, hate the thing, because it's like now you get one friend you follow and like 4 people suggested. And before you know it, you're down a hole of like all these things that are teaching you all the things that you don't like, right? And that make you feel very small. And that internal emotional labor grows even more, right? And so you're dumbfounded. And you have Sally over here telling you sleep training's the devil. And then you got, Samantha over here telling you it's the best thing she ever did because now she gets sleep. And then, you turn around and Sally's talking bad about Samantha and Samantha's talking bad about Sally, right? And it's like, you're just like, oh my God. And so you have all of this, but we don't know that this exists, this internal emotional labor of all the things we're carrying for the household. Like, because we know our bond as a mother is the strongest with our child since we had the baby and the baby connected to us for so long. We just kind of chalk it on top, and put on top of that, you might have dogs, cats, the laundry still has to be changed. You got to change the furnace filter or clean the laundry machine or whatever it is. This internal stress is like playing underneath all of it and making your decision soundly without really guilt or shame, truthfully. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think social media has a lot to answer for as well, because it's so easy for us to go on our phones and look and see how other people are coping and thinking, oh my gosh, why can't that be me? What's wrong with me as a mother? What's wrong with my child? Why aren't they sleeping? When it appears that everyone else isn't having a problem. I remember taking my son to a baby sensory class when he was 9 weeks old, and we sat around in a circle and everybody spoke about their child, and everybody spoke about sleep and how wonderful their child was sleeping. And I went last and I was like, my baby doesn't sleep at all. And so I found myself lying. I was like, yes, this is Jack, he sleeps 8 hours, da, 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 da. And I thought, why did I do that? That's not what's happening. But I felt like, well, what's wrong with me? And worse, what's wrong with him? And it can make you feel really lonely. So just remembering that social media isn't real. Surround yourself with people who are real. I had some friends who had a baby the same time as me that were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell my baby on eBay. And I had others that were like, no, I'm really enjoying this. And I was like, well, I'm not enjoying this because I'm really struggling. So surround yourself with people who are real. Social media is not real. And also just listen to yourself. Like, your baby the best, and you always have that gut feeling. And if it feels like something you want, then it's really hard, but try not to care what anyone else thinks. Just be like, actually, I'm focused on me and my child, what is best for us. And Yeah, so social media is a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's great for information, but there's lots of information, and yeah, it can be really, really hard to be pulled in all directions.
I love it. I think that's the best 3 tips to really end on. So I want everybody to take those and truly agree with you on all of the above, on all of them. But if they're curious, they're having some problems with their kids sleeping and they'd like to get more help, where can they find you?
So I've got a Facebook page, Super Simple Sleep is my Facebook page. And then I've got Baby and Child Sleep Support, which is my private community on Facebook, where we're filled with of mums who aren't getting a lot of sleep, and we can all feel relaxed with no judgment, knowing that it's okay, that we're all finding it a little bit hard.
I love it. And both of those will be linked right below this in the video notes. So please make sure to snag those and follow her for sure. I know I will definitely be sending people your way, as I know that that is happening for them. But other than that, thank you for being a guest. Loved having you.
Thank
And
you.
of course, yeah, for those of you watching, if you are following along, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, have a fit and fabulous day. Bye for now. We will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.